Who was your first crush? Danny Kaye. He was tall and always played awkward but could dance and sing and just made me happy. My mom always had old movies on and we watched White Christmas all year long. It was crushing to realize he was already dead. My best friend in 3rd grade. She also liked me at the time, but my other friend liked her too, so it was a full-on 3rd grade love triangle. A girl named Christy I met while camping with my family. We went to the county fair together and hung out the whole week we were camping. We actually kept in touch for a long time, but she lived like 2 hours from me and I was like 12 at the time, so it's not like I could just go meet her. I went to see her once. It was awkward. She had a daughter and I was a 20-something dumbass in the Air Force. Mark Hamill when he played Luke Skywalker. Loved Star Wars growing up. I watched it a lot on VHS whenever my folks and I would go to Blockbuster to rent movies. Nala from Lion King. I was maybe like 5 years old. Simba wants to know your location. Kim Possible. Shago. Orlando Bloom. The Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean movies were my obsessions for several years, for more reasons than one. Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Imagine it. Kindergarten. His name was Dusty. He had blonde hair and wore a leather jacket to school every day. Unfortunately, he was also a little violent. He enjoyed throwing chairs across the room and at kids, sticking gum in kids' hairs, and writing on his desk in permanent markers. Needless to say, Dusty didn't come back after kindergarten. I have no idea what happened, but the teachers said he went to a school designed for him. Hope he's doing good in life now. That girl dog from a Goofy movie. Lol, nice try. What's your next question? What is your first pet's name? Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher. Slave Leia was my first crush and fetish wrapped together. John Smith and Pocahontas. I hate to admit, but it might have been my cousin. Around those times I also had crush on a 1-year older girl from my neighbor with who I spent almost whole summer together. I just can't recall which one of these was first. Holy shit, I read a 1-year-old girl. I was about to ask how old you were. Depends on how you want to word it. When I was 4, there was a girl Melissa in my pre-kindergarten that we said we were going to run away, get married and live in an RV. Then there was Jennifer 2 years later, the twins after that, then Gina, then Maria, then Kristen, then Summer, then Heidi. List kind of goes on. When I was 4, there was a girl Melissa in my pre-kindergarten that we said we were going to run away, get married and live in an RV. Oh my goodness, that's so dramatic. How does a 4-year-old even come up with this? Muz. Bianca from The Rescuers. Carly. Carly, from iCarly? Carly from 5th grade with blonde hair, blue eyes. Boy in my class. Lasted way too long. Fancied him from the ages of 8 to 13. I annoyed the ever-loving shit out of that poor kid. Joe, if you can see this, I'm so sorry. If he sees your username, he's gonna have some regrets. She turned out to be gay. No, I don't want to talk about it. Both Annabeth Chase and Percy Jackson. At the same time. A boy in my kindergarten class. I left love notes in his cubby every week. We ended up going to the same high school and he took me to freshman year homecoming and senior year prom. Still friends with him today. In some alternate universe, I think we're married. Steve Martin. I was 5. Even had a framed newspaper clipping of him on my wall. Actually, I was really into the movie Three Amigos, and told my mom I wanted to marry them. She laughed and said all 3, but you can only marry 1. To which my 5-year-old self responded, but I need a lot of men. A early 20s guy fixing our roof. I was 7. I was a weird kid. I had crushes on 50% of my dad's friends. In my entire life I have had crushes on only 4 boys that were my age range. Did I have daddy issues? I think I had daddy issues. My neighbor. I distinctly remember hoping he'd notice me in my bathing suit. He was 17. I was 7. Jessica Alba. A girl in 3rd grade named Laura. I was too scared to tell her how I felt. I was afraid of being made fun of, and she was always surrounded by her friends, and I was a bit of an outcast due to my erratic behavior caused by ADHD. I remember thinking she was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen at the time. My favorite thing about her was her long black hair, and she was a smart student. I would have stupid fantasies of winning her over in class. We never really talked, but I remember cherishing every moment I had around her, whether it was a class project, a field trip, or if we sat next to each other during an assembly. Every chance I'd get, I would try to prove myself to her by trying to be funny, but I end up being awkward. Haven't seen her since elementary. Don't know where she is or what she is doing. I hope she's happy though, and content with her life. I wouldn't want to meet her again. She most likely wouldn't remember me anyways, and seeing her would only bring back bad memories of elementary school, of the times I was bullied for my awkward behavior. I would hate myself if she remembered that. Emma Watson. When I was a kid, I thought I would grow older and I could date her. I figured out later that if I grow older, so does she. Victoria. I told this story recently about when I expressed my feelings to her. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, we took a field trip to the Field Museum here in Chicago. During our lunch break, and I wandered off to the gift shop to see what they had. I had a huge crush on this girl named Victoria in my class, and I saw this ladybug ring for a couple of dollars. I knew she liked ladybugs, and I had money my parents gave me to buy something at the shop. So I decided to buy the ring and give it to her. I was really nervous and kept waiting for the right time to do it. I eventually decided to just go for it and walked up to her near the end of the trip. She was with some of her friends, which made me more nervous, but I found the courage to do it. She looked at the ring and laughed. Her friends joined her, and she then tossed the ring in the trash. I was completely devastated and tried hard to hold back my tears, even though I'm over it now. That completely f***ed my confidence with girls for a long time. Looking back, I may have embarrassed her too, giving it to her in front of her friends, which is why she reacted that way. But even still, it was pretty bullshit for her to just toss it in the trash in front of me like that. Doofenshmirtz daughter. Alex Mack. I don't know if I should tell her name, but I met her in kindergarten. It was called Jardin where I was at the time. She always held hands with this other kid I didn't like, but when he wasn't there she'd hold mine. Eventually, when we were in 2nd grade, her mother passed away, and she changed school. Never saw her again. Hope she's doing alright. That other kid got into drugs, and to be honest, that guy. It was 5th grade, and she was the girl who had already finished puberty, so she was way taller than everyone else, and well developed. I actually added her on MySpace many years after. We exchanged like 3 sentences and never spoke again. Ty Lee. I don't really remember much from elementary, but I remember having basically the same consistent crush for the next 7 years through middle school and high school, with only minor breaks in between. Still, it always came back to the one. She wasn't the most popular person in the school, but she was the cutest to me. She's quiet and kind, and I found I could barely take my eyes off her during class, especially these last 2 years. Still, 12th grade, when I finally worked up the courage to ask her out, that was when I found out she had just started dating someone else the week before. Winnie Cooper, then Topanga. Elizabeth Sisson. I really liked her smile. We were both in the 4th grade. I either never told her or I blocked the memory of the rejection. The Pink Power Ranger. Daniel Radcliffe. I was 5 years old. Starfire. Hal from Howl's Moving Castle, the original emotionally unavailable fuckboy. Elizabeth Shue from Karate Kid. So cute in those short shorts and sweatshirt. That was a crush that lasted for a really long time too. Adventures in Babysitting, Back to the Future 2, etc. Elizabeth Shue. Jennifer Connelly in Labyrinth. I wanted her to babysit me. Hold up. I'm only now just realizing what a terrible babysitter she was. She sold her own brother to David Bowie's codpiece. I was trying to act tough in preschool and ate a chip before we said our snack time prayer to impress my desk neighbor. She told on me and I cried. Raven from Teen Titans or Artemis from Young Justice? As a 4-year-old girl, I should have known. I hope you were the 4 years old in that comment. Oh my god, I have just seen how this looks and I hate myself. Username checks out. I watched some violent movies when I was a little kid. As a result, Alyssa Milano in Commando. Azula from Last Airbender. How was it Azula? When I was young I didn't like her because I knew she was mean, but Ty Lee is a different story. Sora from Digimon. Jet from Gladiators. Classmate. Brains and beauty. And manners. Too bad I'm an ugly idiot. A random girl in my class in 1st grade. Now, 11 years later I have a crush on her again. Is this weird? The King of Queens was my favorite show due to my massive crush on Leah Rimini. She was delicioso. Leslie from Bridge to Terabithia. You can probably understand why I don't like that movie. Tom Hiddleston. I was young and loved him to bits. I still love him but not as a crush. Looking back on those days now, I cringe very hard. Disney's Robin Hood the Fox. My best friend's older sister. God, was she pretty. Rachel Lively. She wore a Tweety Bird one-piece. She lived in the neighboring town but she saw her dad on the weekend and he lived right by the pool. I saw her every Saturday for a whole summer at that pool. Rode my bike so fast to see her. Then, vanished. We chased each other around the grass. She tricked me into kissing her. My first kiss on the playground. She used one of those finger trap things that you open and close a bunch then open up to see what it says. It said hug. She said let's play again. Was kiss. Kissed. Damn. Best moment of my 12-year-old life. Wonder what happened to her. We would lie in the grass holding hands looking up at the clouds. Nowhere to be. Nowhere to go. Pre-phone so none of that. Just would lay there. Damn. A girl in my Daisy troop. We had a pretend wedding at the park. My stuffed moose officiated. On a side note, anyone else scroll through every single reply to see if someone had a crush on them? No? Just me? Okay. Kylie Minogue. Yes, I'm old. You just can't get her out of your head. Huh. Agent 99. My ex. Let me be honest with you. Jack Sparrow. Captain Asterisk. Danny DeVito. She was an emo anime fangirl I met in 5th grade. She was also really rude to me and was in love with my best friend who refused to even acknowledge her existence. Good times P-ming back and forth over Gaia Online. Once, when I was 12 or so, I opened up too many drawers on a tall toolbox. A boy named Jonathan who lived next door to my grandparents' house. I was 8 and he was about 11. My brother and I spent a lot of time at our grandparents' house growing up and they lived in an area with no kids so we would often play with Jonathan when we were there and I had the biggest crush on him for about 2 years. Mila Kunis. During that 70s show I remember drawing tons of pictures of her and realizing she was it. Gordon Ramsay. Don't ask. One of my brother's best friends. I was a creepy child though. On his birthday I called him over 15 times and hung up right away because I was too scared to say happy birthday, so I ended up sending him a text message saying something like, "Hey, sorry I called 15 times. Happy birthday. Sincerely, your friend's creepy little sister." He was 17. I was 8. I haven't seen him in over 13 years and I honestly hope I never see him again. I'm cringing so hard typing this. David Bowie. I'm 37. It was a labyrinth thing. Aaron Carter. As a 7-year-old girl, I Want Candy was my jam. Kelly Kapowski. Clarissa Explains It All and Winnie from Wonder Years. F off, you're just gonna tell her. Girl from Leg Shaving Commercial. Brittany. She was my neighbor and we had little crushes. I broke my arm walking across a fence trying to impress her, then her friend moved into the neighborhood and convinced her to knock on my door and throw berries at me, yelling that they didn't want to be friends with me anymore. I blame all my commitment issues on this moment. This kid named Ben in first grade, I remember chasing hot boys being like, haha, if you don't run I'll kiss you. Then he was like, okay eyes, and I was like, oh sick, that's nasty EWWW. Smooth moves on my part, 10 out of 10. Hey, how you doing? General Kenobi, and I'm not even joking. Hello there. Zelda from Skyward Sword. The blonde girl in short shorts that I sat next to in grade 6. Background: I moved from a super religious country to the West, had never seen blondes in real life, and more importantly, I had never seen girls in short shorts. She was the most beautiful thing 11-year-old me had ever laid eyes on. Lol. Even though everyone is mentioning their animated and celeb crushes, the post doesn't say it has to be from that category. My first real human crush was a girl named Emily. She had nice dark skin and soft hair that reached her shoulders. I met her in elementary through my friend's girlfriend who actually became my best friend. Emily though, she was a difficult girl. She really didn't like interacting with others, and when she finally felt comfortable around me she would just tease me endlessly. It still never made me shake off my feelings. Because she and I had braces, sometimes I would say dream some weird things. One of them was that I would accidentally trip and fall on her and end up getting our braces tangled. I had very weird thoughts back then. Unfortunately, nothing ever happened and my image of her was finally ruined when she became upstuck and sure of herself. I don't think she ever even considered me a friend. Kellen something, second grade in Mrs. Anderson's class. Blonde hair, blue eyes. He was the best in class at multiplication. Then one day I beat him in a little multiplication game we played as a class. Then I started crushing on math. I now work as an estimator. As a normal boy, it was a different crush a month. But I still remember Vicky from the second grade and her beautiful smile. Misty from Pokemon.